Everyone thinks Sauron simply escaped after the Drowned Kingdom fell. The island was swallowed. Its proud king vanished beneath the sea. Its armies, temples, and towers were destroyed. And Sauron, being a spirit, survived and returned to Mordor. But that's not what really happened. Sauron survived the downfall, but he did not survive whole. Something was taken from him in that catastrophe. Not his will, not his hatred, not his desire to rule. Something far more important: his fair form. And once you understand that, Sauron's return becomes one of the darkest transformations in Tolkien's mythology. Because after the Drowned Kingdom, Sauron was no longer the deceiver who could walk among the great as a beautiful counselor. He became a will stripped of beauty, a tyrant who could no longer hide his evil behind grace. The question nobody asks is this: what did Sauron truly lose when the Drowned Kingdom fell? Not how did he escape, not how did he rebuild Mordor, not why did the island drown. The deeper question is far more disturbing. What happens to evil when it loses the ability to pretend it is good? To understand this, you have to remember what Sauron was before the sea rose. He was not yet only the Eye, not yet only the Dark Lord in open war. In the Second Age, Sauron was far more dangerous because he could still appear fair. He could appear wise, useful, generous, necessary. As Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, he entered Edrion not as terror, but as help. He offered the elves preservation, craft, a way to hold back fading. And although they eventually discovered the trap, the method revealed his genius. Sauron understood that evil does not always win by frightening the world. Sometimes it wins by appearing to save what the world loves. That same genius later turned toward men, toward the greatest kingdom of men ever raised. A kingdom blessed after the War of Wrath, a kingdom of long life, ships, wisdom, power, and memory. But blessings can become dangerous when gratitude turns into entitlement. The men of the Drowned Kingdom had received more than other men. And because they had received more, they feared losing more. Their lives were long, but not endless. Their ships crossed the world, but one shore remained forbidden: the Undying Lands, the West. That forbidden shore became a wound, and into that wound, Sauron entered. This is where things get darker. Sauron did not first conquer the island by force. He was brought there as a prisoner. The king came against him with such overwhelming power that Sauron's servants deserted him. The Dark Lord seemed defeated, humbled, captured, taken into the heart of the proudest realm of men. But a prisoner in chains can still conquer a mind. And Sauron understood pride better than any army. He did not tell the king he was weak. He told him he deserved more. He did not begin by demanding worship. He began by feeding resentment. He whispered that death was not a gift, but an insult. That the Valar were withholding immortality, that men had been cheated. He turned fear of death into rage against heaven. Most people never realized that Sauron's evil is strongest when it does not create desire, but interprets it. He finds a wound already present and gives it a voice. To the elves, he said, "You fear fading. Use power to preserve beauty." To men, he said, "You fear death. Use power to defy it." The temptation changes shape, but the structure is always the same. Accept no limit. Receive nothing as gift. Turn every boundary into an enemy. Turn every blessing into a possession. That is Sauron's gospel. And in the Drowned Kingdom, it worked. He rose from prisoner to counselor, from counselor to priest, from priest to the hidden architect of rebellion. The island that once honored the West turned toward darkness. Temples were raised. Sacrifices were made. The fear of death became worship of power. And the king, who should have guarded his people, became the instrument of their ruin. This is the key mechanism behind Sauron's corruption. He did not merely deceive them politically. He corrupted their relationship with mortality. That is far deeper. A political lie can be corrected. A military defeat can be endured. But when a people begin to hate the condition of their own existence, they become vulnerable to anything that promises escape. And Sauron offered escape. Not true immortality. He could not give that, but he could offer defiance. He could offer rebellion. He could offer the illusion that enough ships, soldiers, and pride could take what had not been given. The drowned kingdom did not sail west because it was fearless. It sailed west because it was terrified. Terrified of death, terrified of limits, terrified that all glory ends, and fear, disguised as greatness, is one of Tolkien's most dangerous forces. It looks like courage. It sounds like destiny. It raises banners. It builds fleets. But underneath it is panic. The panic of creatures who cannot bear to be moral. Then came the downfall. The sea rose. The island split. The proud towers collapsed. Temples, palaces, ships, armies, and altars vanished beneath the waves. The rebellion ended not in conquest, but in judgment. The world itself was changed. The straight road was removed. The island was drowned, and Sauron's body was destroyed. But his spirit survived. And here is the part that changes everything. He escaped. But his fair form did not. From that moment onward, Sauron could never again appear beautiful in the same way. Never again wear that fair mask of trust. Never again walk openly among the wise as a radiant giver. The sea did not destroy his evil. It destroyed his disguise. And that loss reshaped the rest of his story. Before the drowned kingdom, Sauron's evil could hide behind beauty. After it, his evil became more naked, more dependent on fear, more bound to domination, more openly what it had always been inside. This is the main payoff. The truth about Sauron after the drowned kingdom is that he became less able to seduce and more trapped in the logic of tyranny. He lost the beauty that made trust possible. He lost the fair shape that made corruption feel like wisdom. He lost the gift-giver's face. So his path narrowed. He could still deceive. He could still manipulate. He could still dominate through the ring. But the old strategy was broken. He could no longer use the gift-giver's face to his advantage. He could no longer enter the world as Annatar had entered Eurasia. After the downfall, Sauron's evil became less like a gift and more like a command. Less like a counselor and more like a tyrant. Less like a hidden poison and more like a visible plague. That is why the Sauron of the Third Age feels different. The Second Age Sauron offers. The Third Age Sauron watches. The Second Age Sauron persuades. The Third Age Sauron threatens. The Second Age Sauron enters through desire. The Third Age Sauron rules through fear. He is still subtle, but the beautiful mask is gone. The Dark Lord remains. And that is not just physical damage. It is symbolic judgment. Sauron had used beauty as a weapon. He had used fairness to corrupt trust. He had worn grace like stolen clothing. And after the drowned kingdom, that stolen beauty was taken away. He became outwardly more like what he inwardly was. This is one of Tolkien's deepest patterns. Evil begins by disguising itself. But over time, evil becomes unable to hide its own nature. The mask burns away. The spirit is forced to show the shape of its desire. And Sauron's desire was control. Nothing more. No healing. No beauty. No true order. Only a world arranged beneath his will. This is where the consequences become unsettling. Sauron's survival proves that punishment does not always purify evil. Sometimes it hardens it. He does not repent. He does not look at the drowned island and understand the horror he helped create. He returns to Mordor. He takes up the ring again. He rebuilds. But now he rebuilds as a being who has lost one of his most dangerous tools. And in losing that tool, he becomes more imprisoned inside himself, less able to imitate goodness, less able to imagine trust, less able to understand mercy, pity, or humility. That is why he misreads the final lore. He cannot imagine anyone refusing the ring. He cannot imagine Aragorn revealing himself without intending to claim it. He cannot imagine Gandalf resisting command. He cannot imagine hobbits mattering. The loss of beauty becomes the loss of spiritual imagination. He no longer understands the forms of goodness he cannot imitate, and this blindness becomes fatal. In the War of the Ring, Sauron sees armies. He sees kings. He sees strategy. He sees a challenge to power, so he assumes the ring must be involved. He cannot imagine that the true threat is not a rival lord, but a small bearer walking into Mordor to destroy the very thing Sauron believes everyone would use. This blindness began long before Mount Doom. It began when Sauron chose control over trust, domination over relationship, possession over gift. And after the drowned kingdom, the world marked that choice upon him. No more fair face. No more beautiful lie. No more stolen radiance. Only the dark ward. And there is a terrible irony here. Sauron lost his fair form in the very catastrophe he helped cause. He weaponized men's fear of death, and the judgment that followed stripped him of the form by which he had tempted others. He made a kingdom hate its limits, and in the end, he became more limited. That is the pattern of evil in Tolkien. It promises expansion and creates imprisonment. Morgoth poured himself into Arda and became diminished. Fëanor swore an oath to reclaim beauty and became consumed by it. The ring promises mastery and enslaves the bearer. Sauron brought down a kingdom, but lost something he could never recover. He survived, but survival is not victory. He escaped the sea, but he emerged diminished. More terrifying in one sense, because his malice endured. More limited in another, because the fair deception was gone. He became less able to imitate the good, and more visibly enslaved to evil. And that is more disturbing than death. Death would have ended the story. Instead, Sauron continues as a will that has lost beauty and learned nothing. A spirit of control carrying the memory of a drowned civilization behind him. When he returns to Mordor, the world does not simply move on. The downfall leaves echoes. The faithful survivors build kingdoms in exile. Gondor and Arnor rise from grief. The line of Elendil carries the memory of the drowned island, and Sauron becomes the enemy their descendants must face. This is why the last alliance is so powerful. It is not only a war against a Dark Lord, it is the return of the faithful against the deceiver who helped corrupt their people. Elendil and his sons are not merely kings fighting Sauron. They are survivors of a drowned world confronting the architect of its ruin. And Sauron fears them because they represent the part of the island he failed to corrupt, the remnant, the faithful, the memory that refused his lie. He helped sink a civilization, but he did not destroy its moral witness. That witness returned in exile, with swords, with ships, with grief. And when Isildur cuts the ring from his hand, there is a terrible justice in it. Sauron used the fear of death to corrupt men. Now a mortal line becomes the instrument of his overthrow, not his final destruction, not yet, but humiliation. The deceiver of the drowned kingdom is cast down by the heirs of those who escaped it. But Tolkien does not make the victory clean. Isildur keeps the ring. The old temptation continues. The consequences echo through the Third Age, through Gondor's decline, through Aragorn's hidden life, through Sauron's fear of the heir returning. And that is why Sauron after the Drowned Kingdom matters so much. He is not just a villain who survived a disaster. He is a spirit, carrying the consequences of his own deception. A Dark Lord whose appearance now testifies against him. A being who once used beauty to corrupt, and then lost beauty forever. This is the philosophical heart of the story. Evil cannot create. It can only use, twist, imitate, and consume. Sauron could imitate wisdom. He could imitate generosity. He could imitate beauty, but he could not become those things. He could wear them for a time. But because they were not truly his, they could be stripped away. What remained was the naked center, the will to dominate. And that is why the loss of fair form matters. It reveals that evil's beauty is borrowed. It can shine for a moment. It can deceive the proud and the wise. It can speak with grace. It can offer gifts. It can build temples and empires. But in the end, it cannot keep the beauty it steals. Because beauty belongs to truth. And Sauron's entire being had become a lie. After the Drowned Kingdom, the lie was scarred into visibility. He could still appear terrible. He could still command. He could still pour fear into kingdoms. But he could no longer pretend in the same way to be the healer of the world. That mask had drowned. And so the Sauron we need afterward is haunted by absence. The absence of the fair form. The absence of trust. The absence of any path back toward repentance. He hardens. He rebuilds. He binds himself more deeply to the ring and the will to rule. And every step makes him more dependent on the thing that will destroy him. The Drowned Kingdom took away Sauron's beauty. The ring would later take away his future. The first loss made him darker. The second loss made him nothing. That is the truth about Sauron after the Drowned Kingdom. He survived the sea, but he did not survive whole. He returned as the Dark Lord more openly than before, stripped of the beauty he had abused, scarred by judgment, bound more deeply to fear, force, and the ring. The world lost a kingdom. Men lost their greatest civilization. The sea covered towers, temples, and pride. But Sauron lost something too, the power to hide his evil behind a truly fair shape. And from that moment, his war against Middle-earth became more desperate. Because a tyrant who can no longer persuade must control. A liar who can no longer appear beautiful must terrify. That is why the Eye is so different from Annatar. Annatar was the open hand. The Eye is the unblinking will. Annatar offered gifts. The Eye searches for enemies. Annatar entered through desire. The Eye rules through dread. Between them lies the sea, the drowned kingdom, the judgment that stripped Sauron of the fairest lie he ever wore. And somewhere beneath the waves, the ruins remain, not only as punishment for men's pride, but as a memorial to the moment Sauron's evil changed shape forever. The drowned kingdom did not end him, it revealed him. But there is another mystery hidden inside that drowned world. Sauron lost his fair form in the downfall, but why was he able to survive at all? What part of him escaped the destruction of the island? And how did the One Ring make his return possible? That is the next story.